Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rebuild the PG. My name is Rafael.
And I'm Julio.
Today with us, we have our guest, David. And David, if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is David Fuentes. I've been in the commercial roofing industry, roofing and waterproofing industry for 27 years now. 9 years in construction, and the remainder, 19 years in the management field. I am a licensed roofing contractor in the state of Florida, and currently I do a lot of bidding on high-profile, multi-million-dollar projects going up and down Miami Beach. So I've been in the industry for a while.
David, so you have you done roofing jobs outside of Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done jobs in New York City, also Connecticut as well, predominantly. Yeah, has been in these three states.
Would you say that there are some very defining differences between roofing in, say, New York as it would be in Florida?
Well, huge differences, and at the end of it depends on where you are working on in the state of New York. You could be working in Westchester County, New York, where they don't have such stringent guidelines or anything like that. Obviously, in Manhattan, there are a lot of guidelines when it comes to working in New York City itself, but definitely more lenient up in the northeastern part of the United States when it comes to building codes and enforcements and things of that nature. Definitely an entirely different animal. South Florida is a unique market within itself. So
Well, the hurricanes here, I guess the code's a little more restrictive on
Yeah.
especially the wind uplift test and the
Yeah.
wind mitigation properties of the roofs.
yeah.
Well, you've done construction as well, so I wanted to ask you specifically for like the bidding and the negotiation process.
Yeah.
Are there some significant difference between, say, bidding for a roofing project and bidding for a regular concrete restoration project?
Yeah, it all depends at the end of the day who your client is. You know what I mean? Because you could be dealing with some private clients that unfortunately do not have the budgets within their organization to, say, hire a structural engineer or a roofing consultant or anything of that nature. That more goes to properties that do carry a more liability. Obviously, condo associations. A lot of these board representatives are, tied to contracts that they have with the property itself for the term that they are within those associational bodies. So there's a big legal aspect when it comes to it. Yeah, I experience a whole different variety of things. But as far as dealing with condo associations themselves, they all pretty much they piggyback off of hiring a structural engineer or a roofing consultant. But it's typically right now in the market has been structural engineers that we're dealing
Yeah.
with.
They're dealing with
Yeah,
them, but most of the structural engineer, they are getting so involved now with roofing.
yeah,
We had a couple of structural engineer
yeah.
actually combining the restoration with the roofing at the same time. But you as a roofer, how often do you bump into a structural deficiency and when you started ripping up the roof and stuff like that?
Well, number one, I just wanted to address really the guideline for bidding and stuff like that. We go through the same bidding process as what you guys go through. The engineer tries to vet everything as much as possible. We have our allowances on our schedule, and then we also have those line items like concrete deck repairs. In essence, from my experience itself, it all depends on the building and the association. How proactive have they been taking care of their structure over the years? And that tends to be like one of the main factors. If I visit a building and they're very proactive with their property, in most case scenarios, when we uncover the roof, we're going to find very little structural damage. Now, if it's somebody who has been, who hasn't had the funds available within the association, and it happens a lot. I encounter all the time. It's an unfortunate situation what's happening in the condo industry today, but unfortunately we have to protect our tenants. But mainly I do look at the structure and I do look at those things, and they play a huge factor as well when I am bidding these jobs, because I understand that when we do uncover the roof, typically my hunch and how I approach these projects are dead on. So if I do see a building that is very old and maybe it hasn't been upkept, most likely we're going to be running into some structural deficiencies.
Well, I mean, for us, since the whole incident with the Champlain Towers, we've seen an uptake in bids just because now the city's been a little more restrictive on getting these 40, 50-year certifications out there on time. And they have had some regulations to basically force the associations to keep up with the savings that they were supposed to have
Yeah.
before. Have you also seen an increase in roofing work now that since that incident has happened?
Oh, definitively. From my knowledge, it was a waterproofing failure that did happen at Champlain Towers that did affect the structural integrity of one of the columns that gave way. So, yes, because and in that respect, waterproofing does fall somewhat in the roofing realm, and it depends on the kind of industry that you are trying to go after. But yeah, definitely. I mean, just as much as the structure is important, protecting the structure is going to be the success at the end of the day in concrete restoration, because we all know, steel buckles, oxidizes, all that. And unfortunately, it's something that we have to protect, specifically the critical areas of a building.
Right, columns, beams, structural loads.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you now that with the recent hurricane that came by, and maybe if you have some pointers, we know there's a lot of different roofing systems: shingles, flat roof, TPO, metal roofs. For residential is different, and for commercial is different. For residential specifically, or one of each, residential and commercial, what do you think is, I guess, the better roofing systems to have when you're facing a hurricane specifically?
Well, I mean, I just want to be 100% clear, because the thing is so we're in the southeastern part of Florida, which is big difference from the remainder of Florida. Why is that? Because we abide by high velocity hurricane zone application. So that is a requirement for our area. Unfortunately, when you move over to the central Florida area, they don't have those stringent guidelines. But unfortunately, as we have seen in the past couple years, the Gulf has been receiving the burden of all these storms. So I definitely think, the municipalities definitely need to reevaluate the way that they are re-roofing these properties and looking at these structures in particular, because a lot of them is stick framing. You get a lot of expansion and contraction. And you already know down here in South Florida, it's all concrete. Concrete and rebar. So it's an entirely different animal. At the end of the day, tile roofs they perform very well under hurricane conditions. In particular, if you look at the recent storms that went through, there were some feeder bands that came off up in Palm Beach Gardens, right?
And we had some tornadoes.
Yeah. So the thing is up there, they still do build per high velocity hurricane. So there was a specific community over there. I'm not going to name any names, but reputable developer, cookie cutter project, but the entire community was already occupied. So over there, what they had is they basically had a 30 pound peel and stick, and then they had a concrete tile over the surface. Now, one of the feeder bands that came off of the hurricane itself produced a tornado in that entire community. Oof. And we all know that tornadoes, I mean, that's probably that's like the worst thing that you can encounter, But I tell you, those roofs, regardless if they got damaged, okay, because they did, they got damaged, but the people were still able to occupy their properties. Why? Because the underlayment stayed intact, and the people were able to prevent any water damage from the inside of the home itself. So for me, that is a no-brainer. That is a great application for any homeowner to have on their roof, to give them a sense of safety until you do have the funds and you do have the money to replace that roof. Now, unfortunately, half of the roof was blown off and the other half, but we all know a tornado, now that's an entirely different animal right there.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, and it all depends on the kind of storm. I mean, I believe shingles perform well. Metal roofs, definitively. We all know 5V crimp is probably the most popular roof that is installed down in the Keys. Big reasoning why it performs so well is because there's exposed fasteners and washers, and that's what's actually holding down
Holding
the
down
roof system itself. So you have actually anchoring from the outside and then go straight
right
inside.
into the structure.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I always encourage people, even if you don't live in southeastern region part of the United States, abide by those guidelines, and you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable going into these storms.
I can imagine what kind of guidelines an area like say Tornado Valley in the U.S. has for roofs. Somewhere in the Midwest where tornadoes are pretty frequent.
Yeah.
I can imagine what kind of guidelines they would have for a roofing system there.
Nothing in comparison to what they have over here. Like I said, I worked in other parts of the country, and unfortunately, in those areas, there are no inspectors or anything like that. I mean, the biggest inspection you'll ever get is from a manufacturer, and that's only on a commercial roofing system, because residential, unless you have somebody looking after the contractor and what they're doing exactly, you don't know what you're receiving at the end of the day. And the homeowner's going to be able to see only so much.
Right. So with roofing, we know there's a lot of different manufacturers you mentioned. With restoration, we've had to go through manufacturers. Even though we've used their products for, say, Sika, when you're doing Sika Roof Pro, you have to be certified. You have to have them come out. They show you how to apply it. They make sure that you guys know, and they give you certification. Hey, you can apply this now. We'll give you a warranty. But with roofing, we understand that certification is a little different. Some of them may be a little more exclusive. Can you tell us your experience when it comes to getting certified with some of these roofing systems? Are they very exclusive, or do they require a lot of other certifications from you as the contractor?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in your field, you guys deal with a lot of pedestrian traffic coding systems, and we could all say that's kind of like the bottom of the totem pole. It gets the job done, you know what I mean?
Right.
Is it the best? No, but it is the most practical in some case scenarios, being balconies over unoccupied spaces. You have obviously your lower tier manufacturers, but in particular your realm, what are you getting for these pedestrian traffic coding systems? 5 years? Materials? And in essence, it's to protect the concrete at the end of the day. But on the roofing end, yes, it's definitely more liability involved when it comes to that, and definitely the type of warranties that you are offering these customers. But typically in our industry, yes, any manufacturer that offers a 20-year no-dollar limit warranty is going to do everything within their capability to make sure that the contractors that they do bring on, they're definitely trustworthy and committed to workmanship in particular. But also too, you do have some lower tier manufacturers as well, where they have less lenient programs that they do allow for those smaller contractors, and they do give them opportunities as well, because they have quotas and they have sales that they need to make as well. So it all really depends. You have your different genres of materials, but who does the best marketing? Who has the best details? Who are the ones that make sure that their contractors are delivering the quality? And those have been the leaders of the industry, because they've been around for many, many, many years.
So let's say I had a question for the 20-year, the no dollar limit warranty. Can you explain that a little bit to, say, somebody who's not in the roofing industry? What does that mean to get a no dollar limit warranty for the roof?
So a no-dollar limit warranty. So basically, when you're offering a 20-year no-dollar limit warranty, it's one of the premium systems that the manufacturer offers. Now, is it top of the line? No. I want to say for my industry, because of the type of projects that I go after, it seems to be pretty common. But the thing is if I work for maybe a lower tier contractor, maybe it's not so common for them. But the thing is when an owner is buying into a 20-year NDL, they are buying into an insurance policy ultimately at the end of the day. You have to look at your money as an investment. You don't want 5 years down the line, commit to a 10-year warranty, 10-year material and labor warranty, maybe with a 1-year contractor commitment, and then the roof fails in about 5 years and you're stuck in a really difficult position. 20-year NDL systems are a little bit more expensive, but at the end of the day, it gives that owner the security that they are protected.
And they
And
got
what
a
does
good
that
system.
yeah.
They got a good system.
And what does a no dollar limit warranty mean exactly? It basically means that, well, number one, it's a non-prorated warranty. So whether it fails in the 17th year, you are covered for the full replacement of the roof, minus, obviously, there's an owner responsibility, taxes, permitting fees, things like that. But as far as the bulk of the cost, labors and materials, the manufacturer will cover that 100%. It's very important that people understand NDL signifies no dollar limit, which equates to non-prorated systems. Okay? Now, when you get warranties that say material and labor, those are prorated systems and they do definitely have clause within their warranties. So basically, in a nutshell, that's exactly what it means for owners itself.
So for a standard material and labor, let's say it's a 20-year warranty, it's not an NDL. The roof fails within the 10th year, they pay more or less 50% of the cost.
Yeah,
give or
so
take?
they'll
They'll
prorate it.
prorate
So
it
if
up to-
so if they use up 10 years of the 20 years and it fails at that 10-year marker, then yes, the it will be adjusted, to fit that amount.
Have you ever bumped into one of those 20-year warranty be voided?
Yeah,
For any
and
reason,
there
like-
and there definitely is an owner responsibility, and we're seeing it today. Even associations have replaced their roof 10 years, 10 years ago, and unfortunately, they're being forced upon to replace these roofs today, specifically by the insurance companies. I don't think the warranty guidelines has much to do with it, but it definitely plays a factor as well, because the more information that you do have as an association, the more information you can provide to your insurance carrier to ensure that you can live out the remainder of your roof life on that project without having to spend money. But with these association, you already know they're constantly changing over the years. You get new individuals that filter in, and also new management companies that come in as well. And what happens during that process? Sometimes the paperwork is lost over the years, and owners, that's where they tend to fall off on their responsibilities, because we're not walking through our roof every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not something that not many people pay attention to unless you have usable rooftop space.
Like a
which
terrace or something.
Yeah, terraces and things like that. That's a little bit
So
different.
let's say they have that warranty and they need to actually attach something to that roof. It could be an antenna, it could be anything that they need to attach to that actually is going to interfere with the roofing system itself.
Anything like penetration.
And penetration, like how would that be handled? They should go through their manufacturer
So
first.
so
I
number
believe.
one, they should have a warranty package. In some case scenarios, we will display stickers on the entranceway doors, hatches, and things of that nature. But yes, prior to you doing any, major attachments to the structure itself through the roof system, you definitely have to reach out to that manufacturer. They're going to ask for plans. They're going to ask what you're doing up there, how many penetrations, etc. And they're going to put you in contact with one of their certified applicators. In some cases, if the term is done for the roof installer itself, because we do have a 2-year commitment to the manufacturer in the first 2 years of the warranty. After that, typically the manufacturer still goes back to the installing roofer, but in most case scenarios, the manufacturer will provide 2 certified installers for that contractor installing whatever it is that they're installing over there, to give them a price, obviously to address these penetrations and make sure that they're being installed as per our guidelines.
Let's say somebody did penetrate that area and they did what they had to do and they got a license on roofer to come and patch it up and I would think that would be still a challenge for them if something happened with that roof to actually go to the manufacturer.
And again, I mean, I could go back down to their legal guidelines and say automatically the warranty is going to be voided. But unfortunately, we are in a customer service based industry. They'll work with the client. Now, if the installer was not a certified installer per their products, then they would send somebody out there to evaluate what was done exactly. But again, I believe manufacturers are a little bit more compassionate than just voiding a warranty. If there are any corrections to be made, any inspections that need to be done, they're always, in 9 times out of 10 cases, they're going to try to work with the association to salvage what they have and minimize their costs.
So since, especially down here in South Florida, a lot of these commercial roofs are flat roofs.
Yeah.
I want to ask one final question. What would you recommend, if anything, to these associations? What kind of maintenance can they do to their roof other than just make sure they have proper drainage, proper sloping, making sure there's no ponding water? What other kind of maintenance could they do, if any, to extend or maintain the life of their current roof?
Well, we already know the elements here in South Florida is the biggest. It's the biggest issues when it comes to these roof systems. I mean, specifically the UV itself in particular. Definitely ponding water can become an issue for any roofing system, regardless. If the manufacturer even says this roofing system is rated for ponding water, they're still products. They break down regardless. But yeah, definitely roof preservation is a big deal here in South Florida, and obviously that's where you go over to your silicones and your elastomerics and your things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna go next there because I hear a lot of people now they just going with a silicone coating over it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the insurance companies, they're not allowing that. Now, if you are looking, to be proactive in maintaining your roof system, definitely. I mean, for me, silicones are great. The only liability with silicones is if you do have anybody who happens to go up on that roof, they're better be careful on the edges because they could slip off of the roof
clips
easily. Very easily. Penetrations and flashings are definitely the most critical points of a roof system in determining its longevity and its life. Really, that's the determining factor. Rarely the field of the roof you'll ever experience anything. It's always in the flashings. And that's what you want to address 100%. But again, ponding water, huge, even for single plies and TPO. Why is it? Grows algae, the sun, the water magnifies the sun, which accelerates the aging process of the membranes itself. Yeah. So that is a huge factor. Also, you don't want trees growing in your roof.
Yeah.
We see a lot of that. Trust me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, David, for joining us. We really appreciate the insights, and hopefully we can talk again later on.
All right, man. Great.
Okay. All right, guys. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I hope this information is helpful for everyone who is watching this video. Thank you.
Thanks.